Hey all, Shmai Paub. This is Idna, and today I'm going to walk you through a HackTheBox Sherlock called PhishNet. This is a very easy difficulty Sherlock from Alpha 4040, and it takes us through the investigation of a phishing email and tasks us with extracting lots of key information that a SOC analyst might need to know. Let's get cracking. So here we are on HackTheBox Labs. I am just going to browse to Sherlock's and search for PhishNet. Okay, this is the Sherlock we're going to play. Let's read through the scenario. An accounting team receives an urgent payment request from a known vendor. The email appears legitimate but contains a suspicious link and a zip attachment hiding malware. Your task is to analyze the email headers and uncover the attacker's schemes. Okay, so now I'm going to be using PwnBox for this, which is a browser-based version of Parrot OS. And that's got all the tools we need. So first of all, we need to download the artifact. So I could download that straight to my computer here, or I can copy the URL to my clipboard, move over into PwnBox and download these. So I'm just going to open up a terminal. Curl-L to follow redirects. Let's call it phishnet.zip and then give it the path. Okay, so we should have that file now. Yep. The password is always HackTheBlue for Sherlock's. You can also get that by clicking in here and that will automatically put that on your clipboard. I'm going to put this in a directory, PhishNet, and let's unzip that. Okay, let's browse into PhishNet and what have we got here? Okay, so we've just got a single email file here. We can open that in using less. Less just allows me to sort of page through it, scroll back and forth, jump around a little bit more than other tools. This is what, if you haven't seen this before, this is what an email looks like in the raw data form. So here we've got some email headers explaining sort of where the email has come from, some information about it. Then here we've got the more familiar fields, date, from, to, subject. The email content itself in HTML form in this particular case. And then we've got some attachment information down the bottom. We can also open this, if I just open another tab, we can open this in this way and we can see it in a more familiar kind of fashion. I'm going to be using both in this in order to demonstrate what things look like in the raw form where you can find information there, and also then what that looks like, how that translates to the more familiar way that you might see an email. All right, so what we can do now is just have a look at our first question. What is the originating IP address of the sender? So again, let's open this up in less. Doesn't have to be less, you can use any kind of text reading tool for this. We're looking for the original IP address. So here we've got the originating IP in a mail header here, X originating IP, 45678910. And we've also got X sender IP, 45678990. So that's the mail server that originally sent this, this email. And that is our answer for this. The originating IP address of the sender. There we go, off to a flying start. Which mail server relayed this email before reaching the victim? Again, in here we see various steps that the email has taken before reaching us, or before reaching the target rather. We can see initially it was sent from 45678910 to relaybusinessfinance.com. That then sent that 5 minutes later, so we got 10:05, relay.businessfinance.com received it. 10 minutes past 10, mail.businessfinance.com received it from relay. And then 10:15, mail.target.com received the email from mail.business-finance.com before delivering it to the victim. So That's the way that these things, that the mail travels across the internet. It's very rare that one email client will send straight to another email client. Usually there's a mail server in the way. Usually there's several mail servers as it hops across the internet and finds its way to where it needs to be. The answer we need here, so which mail server relayed this before reaching the victim? So before reaching the victim, mail.businessfinance.com was the final hop. So we can copy that. And there's our answer for that. What is the sender's email address? We can see that straight in the headers here. So I scroll too quickly then. Here we are. So we have from, which is from finance department, finance@business-finance.com. We can also, in a more familiar way, see that's happening here. And we can just copy that. What is the sender's email address? The sender was finance@business-finance.com. What is the reply to email address specified in the email? We can see that in here quite nicely and neatly. So it was received from finance@business-finance.com. But any responses will go to support@business-finance.com. Now that can happen in legitimate circumstances. We know in this case that this was from a trusted third party according to the scenario. So that's probably what they had set up. So any kind of responses to any emails will go to the support team rather than to some automated mailbox. Attackers can use this as well to sometimes redirect responses to their email address rather than from where the email originally came from. That doesn't look to be happening here, but that can get abused. So that's something to watch out for. But the reply address is support@business-finance.com. Oops. Let's grab it from here. Why can't I see that? Oh, reply to. Don't need that bit. Great. What is the SPF, or Sender Policy Framework, result for this email? SPF is a set of rules that is published as a TXT record via DNS, and it's a way to verify that the sender of that email is actually authorized to send us that domain. I can show you, if I just quit LS a second, if I can show you Microsoft's SPF record like this. So we can see all of the TXT records here. I'm just going to quickly grab for so this is Microsoft's SPF record. What that is telling the receiving server. So if you've received an email from Microsoft.com and your mail server is configured to check SPF records, which it should be, it will look up this SPF record and it will say, did the mail server that sent me this email, is it one of these? Now, Microsoft being Microsoft, they send a lot of email. They'll have a bunch of mail servers here that have this domain, and so on and so on. You may just have one mail server in here that is trusted. In kind of industry, you'll typically have quite a few in here because sometimes you'll have trusted third parties sending email on behalf of you. So marketing teams often use external providers such as MailChimp and things like that, and they'll be sending email on behalf of your domain. And if you want that to be trusted and shown as authorized, you will need to add that into your SPF record. So that is a way of authenticating, I suppose, that this is an actual approved mail server for that domain. Microsoft have got a minus all at the end, so that is telling the receiving mail server that if it is not one of these, that's a hard fail. You can change that to a tilde all, and it'll be more like a soft fail, so it'll still allow it through, but it might flag a warning or something like that. But this is pretty confident here that if it has not come from one of these, it has not actually come from Microsoft.com. So if I configured a mail server now to send email as Microsoft.com, and you received it, and your mail server was configured to check this SPF record, it would say, no, that has not come from Microsoft. It's going straight to spam or bin or whatever rules you put in place. Relating to this email, we can check the SPF again in the mail, in the raw mail format in the headers here. So you've got these authentication results. And we can see here that SPF has actually passed. And it gives you the reason why. Domain business-finance.com designates 45678910 as a permitted sender. Now, if you remember back to the scenario, that sort of tracks in that this was a trusted vendor. Let's just read the scenario again just to make sure. From a known vendor. So this is most likely an account that has been compromised at a third party, and that compromised account is being used to send email to, this is a fake invoice. So from the finance team, send out fake invoices with malicious attributes to it, whether it's attachments or links, so that the recipient says, oh, this is from my regular vendor, therefore I can trust this. So this has passed SPF because it was actually coming from their mail server. It's not necessarily spoofing anything here. So the answer for this, the result is pass. What is the domain used in the phishing URL inside the email? We can see that in the, I've lost my, why is this not opened? Strange. Okay, let's open that again. Right. The domain used in the phishing URL inside the email. So you can't, you can hover over the link, which is everyone is kind of taught to do, and you can see the raw details there. But of course you can get that from inside the actual core data here. And the link here is this here. So secure.business-finance.com, etc. So we just want the domain. Yes, just the domain. So we can copy. So the domain is secure.business-finance.com. Excellent. What is the fake company name used in the email? Looking at the sign off here, best regards, Finance Department, Business Finance Limited. It's kind of strange because it did say that this was a trusted supplier, so I don't know if it's a fake company name, but that is who is being sent it, so that's what's in the email there. What is the name of the attachment included in the email? Again, we can see that here. So the attachment here is invoice underscore 2025 underscore payment.zip. And if I show you that in the raw data here, so right at the bottom of the email, we've got this kind of section here, which is where attachments are stored. So you can see the content type is an application zip, and this is the name. Attachment file name again here, and then we can see that it's encoded in base 64. So this string here is actually the attachment as a base 64 encoded blob. I'll be coming back to that in a second. Let's first of all just grab the name of the file. Excellent. Okay, so what is the SHA-256 hash of the attachment? So a couple of ways we could do this. Again, we can download it from the email here, or we can take it from the raw data. I'm going to take it from the raw data because I just think it's more interesting to show you what's happening. And we've all downloaded an attachment from an email GUI, but maybe not from inside the raw file. So I've just grabbed that base64 string, and I want to send that into base64 to decode it. If I could just type it, there it is, base64d. So if I do that, that's just going to send the raw zip file data, which we don't want to see. We want the SHA-256 hash. And this should be the hash of our actual attachment. So let's put that in and try it. And it is. What is the file name of the malicious file contained within the zip attachment? Now for this, we want to actually extract that attachment. Again, I could download that from the GUI, but where's the fun in that? It's just, I can't remember the actual file name. I can't see it up here. I can just call it, it was like invoice.zip, wasn't it? That's not going to work like that. So taking the same base64, decoding it and sending it into a file called invoice.zip. And that is a zip archive data. So we want to extract that now because we want to find out what file is inside it. We can just try it with unzip, and this fails. End of central directory, signature not found. So something is wrong with this. I often will try 7-zip instead of the native tool. It tends to be more options. It tends to be a little bit more flexible with errors and different encoding compression algorithms and things like that. So we do 7z space x for extract, and then invoice.zip. And we still have more errors. Unexpected end of archive. There's something wrong with this file. And we know it's the right file because the hash checked out. So something, actually, let's just double check. We did create that file. So let's check the hash of that. Is that the same as when we did that? I mean, it should be. BB4A 837, yes. So it is the same file. It's extracted from the email properly, but it's not allowing us to unzip it. Something has happened to this file. Now we can see some information about it. We can see the name of the file that's inside it here, invoice_document.pdf.bat. Now for the question itself, that's all we need. We just want the file name of the malicious file contained within the zip attachment. I mean, what's clearly happening here? We've got the classic double extension here. So if you're on Windows, which is to be targeting as a batch file, by default, Windows will hide common file extensions unless you tell it not to. Therefore, this would appear as invoice_document.pdf, much more likely to get trusted and opened by an unwitting user. But what would actually happen is it would run this batch file underneath, which is very likely going to go out and grab more malware and do something malicious on your system. So that's what's generally happening here. That's the payload attached to this email, and that is the file name that we need. Unfortunately, we can't actually get it. Now, I don't know whether that's by design from the creator, because this is the answer to the question. Maybe that was always intended. Maybe it was intended to actually have an actual file in there. But either way, that's what we can get the information we need. Which MITRE attack techniques are associated with this attack? If you're not already familiar with MITRE attack, and you're a budding SOC analyst or anyone sort of entering the cybersecurity, especially in the operational space, you should get familiar. It's attack with an ampersand, although that search still would have found it, I'm sure. It is effectively an encyclopedia of all known tactics, techniques, and procedures that threat actors use to compromise systems. This is MITRE ATT&CK. There's different matrices in here. There's one for mobiles, one for ICS. There's different. MITRE have got different frameworks like this for slightly different applications. So there's Atlas for AI and things like this. But MITRE ATT&CK is really, really commonly used across sort of cybersecurity operations. It's split into these verticals, which are tactics. So these are all reconnaissance tactics, and then these are the more detailed techniques underneath. Sometimes these will expand out and they've got more sub-techniques, which is much more granular detail. And if I just sort of click a common one here, just to show, we've got OS credential dumping, LSAS memory, very, very common attack to extract credentials from the LSAS process in memory on Windows, Mimikatz being a very famous tool to do that. But this is just a good example to show you just what kind of information is contained within MITRE. I liken it to sort of like the IMDb of threat actor tactics and things like this. So it gives you some information around that technique itself, gives you some potential command lines that can get used, some examples of it. Here we can see anything we want to see as a campaign. So we can see that in this particular campaign, they use Mimikatz. G is a threat actor group. So these are all different groups that are known to use Mimikatz. S software, so Bad Rabbit, has Mimikatz as part of its framework. Cobalt Strike uses Mimikatz. So this is what I mean by IMDb. It shows relationships between tactics, techniques, software, threat actors, threat actor campaigns. It's just a really, really valuable resource. That was quite a tangent there from what we actually need, but I wanted to just do a quick introduction on where I'm coming from with this rather than diving straight in. Initial access, phishing is part of initial access. This is clearly a phishing attack. Phishing is part of initial access. That's very often how threat actors will get access to a network, and then after that they can move on and achieve actions on their objectives. Phishing is T1566. I'm not sure if you can see that actually. Can I zoom in? See if you can see that. Let's just click in here. Actually, you'll be able to see it much more easily. Phishing is T1566. Phishing has some sub-techniques. So you've got spear phishing attachment, spear phishing link, spear phishing via service, and spear phishing voice. Now, there was a link and an attachment in this particular attack. We don't actually know that the link was malicious. We didn't follow that up, but we do know that the attachment was malicious. So we can see some information on this here. I'm not going to read all this out, but there's just a lot of information around spear phishing attachments. This is the ID associated with that technique. And we can remove that white space at the end. And that is PhishNet. That wraps up PhishNet. Thank you for watching. If you found this useful, please do like and subscribe. If you managed to solve any part of that Sherlock in a different or better way, please leave a comment. I'd love to hear more about that. Please do check out Sherlock's on HackTheBox. There are over 100 available to play. Many of them are free. We release a new one every Thursday. But for now, diolch yn fawr.